A week ago, I posted a recording where I discussed the people who have accused me of crying wolf too many times and saying that we were in the end games too many times. If I was a real idiot, I would be boasting and saying, I told you so. But I'm not that kind of a person. I could have even titled this video, and I quote, I predicted this. The truth is that myself, as well as any number of individuals and organizations, have been predicting and telling you for ages that this was going to happen, but most refused to listen. I hope that you are listening now. As most of you know and will have seen already on social media, the country is going up in smoke, people. Over the last 3 days, or 4 days, there has been a plague sweeping over South Africa like a swarm of locusts devouring everything in their path. We have seen whole towns destroyed, hundreds, possibly thousands of businesses destroyed, hundreds of billions of rands worth of damages done to infrastructure, and already many lives have been lost. I hope that those who were calling me a fool, those that accused me of crying wolf, those that said I was talking rubbish, and all those that thought and still might be thinking that everything will be okay, have now had the blinkers removed from their eyes. South Africa is in chaos at the moment, people. Back to the topic of this recording. As you have seen in the past 3 days, chaos has reigned, and KwaZulu-Natal business areas are now a wasteland, with Johannesburg CBD and the East Rand following close behind. I hope that more of you now realize that we are at an extremely sensitive point, and we could easily find ourselves in a state of civil war at any point now, any time. No, people, what has been going on, what you have seen up until now, is not civil war. What we have been witnessing in South Africa over the last 3 or 4 days is nothing but orchestrated domestic terrorism. The excuse of using the arrest of Jacob Zuma is just that, an excuse to unleash terrorism and pure criminality on the public. We have seen that the police are hopelessly outnumbered to have any effect on the situation at all. Those that are not taking part in the riots themselves, helping themselves to everything they can lay their hands on, and even using police vehicles to transport the loot, are totally ineffective because in most cases they have run out of ammunition. The civilians are having to give the police ammunition to do their jobs. This is an absolutely ridiculous situation. Yesterday they burned down the shopping centres in 1 or 2 of the informal settlements, and today they are begging other areas, and no doubt the whites, to bring them food urgently because they are hungry. How arrogant can you get? I'm afraid that with all the blatant messages on social media, voice messages doing the rounds on WhatsApp, etc., where it has been made perfectly clear that we, the white minority, and everything we own, that is, the businesses we run, are the target of their terrorist activities. We have to take the stance that we now have to look after ourselves, and if it means keeping what little food is left to ourselves, then so be it. How can we be expected to feed those that destroyed their own food supply and ours at the same time? The days of us being abused are now over. Another very important point I need to make is that in many cases now, the only thing standing between the terrorist rioters and the suburbs where people's families live has been the law-abiding citizens with legal, licensed firearms. Not the police, not the army. No, civilians with legally licensed firearms. Without those firearms in civilian hands, the situation we see now would have been far worse, and there would have been many more casualties. So, Mr. Trele, I think I can say on behalf of the majority of us white folks, colored folks, Indians, and other minorities, you can take your proposed firearms bill and shove it. There is now no debate to be had on firearms control, and that is final. You will have to take the firearms out of our cold dead hands. It is simply not going to happen. We do not have a government in this country. We do not have leaders in what they call a government in this country. What we do have is a criminal organization run by a bunch of gangsters and terrorists. So what can we expect to happen in the next few days and weeks? We have seen that the public in Natal reached a point where they were forced to take the law into their own hands to protect their property, their suburbs, and their families. Our police force admitted very long ago that they simply could not fulfill their mandate, and things have only got worse since then. I have a voice recording from a police commander in Natal where he clearly states that they are overwhelmed and cannot handle what they are facing. He also states that the civilian population will have to take care of themselves. The ammunition that civilians have is not rubber bullets, so any shooting taking place now is with live rounds, and there is no such thing as a warning shot any longer. Ammunition is too scarce and too expensive for that. It is now a case of when anyone pulls a trigger, it is a case of shoot to kill. The bodies and people with gunshot wounds piling up attest to this. Today, the whole country is much quieter. These rioting terrorists are now at home with heaps of stolen food and alcohol. For the next few days, maybe a week, We will see a quieting down of the situation, but when that food and alcohol is either finished or rotten, they will be waking up one morning hungover and hungry. They will not be able to buy food anywhere, so where do you think they are going to be looking for that food? They will be coming straight to our houses because that will be the only places left where food is available. Be ready for this, my friends. We have now seen that the EFF is threatening to join the terrorism, since, in their opinion, the civilian population has declared war on unarmed civilians. Well, I guess there's nothing anyone can do to stop them becoming involved, but I can assure you that they will be met with the same lethal force by the civilian population. Now that we know what to expect, they can expect a much more organized and forceful response. We have seen that the so-called president has absolutely no clue what to do. His pathetic appearance on television a few days ago where he stood and waffled away, telling us what has happened, just like a 10-year-old child saying a speech in class on a Monday morning, telling the class what he or she did over the weekend, was embarrassing to say the least. Ramaphosa is a spineless puppet controlled by forces behind the scenes and has absolutely no intention to do anything other than carry out instructions from his handlers. The state of the country is of no concern to him at all. It is quite obvious that this violence and destruction was and still is being orchestrated by the likes of Jacob Zuma, his son Duduzane, and probably Ace Magashule and others on their side of the faction within the ANC. Whether you believe this or not does not matter at all, but I have to ask you, are you happy that your life, the lives of your family, and the lives of every other law-abiding citizen in this country can be effectively destroyed by a bunch of criminal terrorists so easily? Why would anyone want to live in a country where something like this is even possible? It really does not matter what the reasons are for this chaos. It really does not matter who is behind the chaos. There will always be another form of chaos, another crisis, and another form of discrimination and persecution perpetrated on us. Trust me, this is only the beginning. There will always be a faction fight for power. It does not matter who is in power. This is Africa, and those not in power will always be fighting to get their hands in the cookie jar. That is the way it is in Africa. So the situation at the moment is balancing on a knife edge, and people are asking, where are all the right-wing conservative civil defense groups? What have they done, if anything, yet? Here's your answer. The civil defense groups have very limited resources and can't afford to get involved in guarding shopping centers and businesses on an official basis. In other words, they can't make it their official job. There have been instances where they have stepped in and helped where necessary, of course, but not officially. But the instant the civilian suburbs are attacked, and it is coming, I'm sure that this country is going to see something it has never seen before. These so-called leaders love to talk about war, calling everything war. They have no idea what war is, but they are going to find out if this carries on and extends into the suburbs. I need to ask you a question. Do you really want to go through all of this? Do you really want to waste years of your life fighting things like this, being too scared to venture past your driveway gate, having to sleep every night with one eye open, not being able to allow your children to play outside unless guarded by someone? Many of you, like me, are not youngsters any longer. Do we really want to waste the last good years of our lives dealing with all of this nonsense? Because I can tell you, it will never stop. This is Africa, and this is the African way. I am personally sick and tired of seeing and listening to so-called leaders at all levels of government, with nothing between their ears, standing on stages, waffling on for ages, trying to look and sound intelligent while saying absolutely nothing. I'm tired of being ruled by a bunch of morons. There is no possible way that this situation will ever come right or even improve if we insist on running this country by a so-called democratic system with one man, one vote. This will always result in mob rule, as we have seen everywhere it has ever been implemented in all multicultural societies. It simply does not work and is and always will be a recipe for disaster. Those that still think that they are going to take back this country are delusional. It will not happen. Even if we did try it, the international community would stop us. There is a solution though. If you are fed up with the violence, fed up with the corruption, fed up with the crime, fed up with the incompetence, fed up with the filth that surrounds us, fed up with the dismal health service, fed up with the dismal service delivery, why not give your vote for secession? You have absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain by simply saying, yes, I would like to live in a country of my own where I have a say, where I feel safe, where my well-being and that of my fellow citizens is a priority, where I can live in peace and safety, where I can raise children and know that they actually have a future. If what you have just heard resonates with you, please go to the ULA website and simply say yes. If you are ready to get out of places like Gauteng and Natal, etc., Join USAF and move to their private farm and put up a home where you can live in peace and quiet. I am personally not in favor of voting for or joining organizations like Cape Exit for the simple reason that they are relying heavily on the support base of the DA, and in my opinion that is a recipe for disaster. All political parties have failed this country and its citizens, every last one of them, and should not be perpetuated in any new dispensation if we want any lasting future. Links to the ULA website as well as to USAF will be in the description. Those who have suddenly opened their eyes, please go out and buy as much supplies as you can afford to last you at least 3 months. Concentrate on non-perishables such as rice, pastas, flour, canned foods, milk powder, etc. Do not waste money on frozen meats and foods, etc. The day the power goes down, you will only have about 3 days to consume those goods. Rather spend your money on essentials at this stage. If you have a firearm, go out and buy as much ammunition as you can afford. There is no such thing as too much ammunition. Remember one thing, that ammunition could be the only thing that stands between your family and these terrorists at some point in the near future. Make sure that you fill up your vehicle's fuel tank as soon as possible. There are at least 3 refineries that have shut down production due to the violence. There will most probably be fuel shortages at the pumps very soon. Lastly, if you have not already joined one of the civil defense organizations, at this stage, I'm not going to promote any specific one. The most important thing is to join one of them and become involved. There is no time anymore to still be arguing over who is a Boer and who is an Afrikaner, who is an Englishman and who is a Rooinek. In the eyes of the enemy, you are all one and the same. The sooner we start acting as one, the better for all of us. Please like and share this on as many social media platforms as possible. It's the only way that my message gets out there. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. You have nothing to lose. If you would like to make a contribution to my channel, in the description field, I have supplied ways in which both local as well as international viewers can make a contribution. If you would like to make a crypto contribution, also in the description field, I've supplied a Bitcoin as well as an Ethereum wallet address. If you'd like to make any other crypto contribution, simply shoot me an email to the address also in the description field, and I will supply you with the relevant wallet address. For those who use Zapper, simply pause the video whenever you see the Zapper code and scan it. Any and all contributions will be much appreciated. To all the amazing people who do make a contribution, I say a huge thank you. Be safe out there. Until next time.